Hi there, did you know that this world full of stuff, you can be forgiven for not really caring where it all comes from? But, in reality, you may actually be missing out on a treat. Let's explore more in the video. The industrial processes behind their creation can be entertaining to watch, and are also fascinating. Here we honor a few examples of interesting industrial processes behind the making of things. The following list is far from exhaustive and is in no particular order. 1. The process behind making pencils is pretty interesting. Let's kick off our list of mildly interesting industrial processes with a doozy. Where would we be without pencils? They come in a seemingly infinite variety of colors and shapes and are loved by children and adults everywhere. But how are they made? It's surprisingly simple, yet incredibly fascinating to watch. First, the leads are created by mixing graphite powder and clay, which is then baked. Next, pencil bodies need to be made. If wooden, the right material needs to be selected to resist some pressure without breaking and be soft enough to sharpen. Stiefler in Germany used cedarwood from California. Precut sections are delivered to the factory. These have grooves cut into them to receive the pencil leads, and special glue is added to stick the leads in place. Next, every second piece is sent to a separate conveyor. The leads are added to the first, and the second wooden slats are glued to the first ones to form a multi-pencil sandwich. These are then compressed to let the glue cure. Now the pencil sandwiches are cut lengthways and shaped to form individual, unsharpened pencils, which later have the points sharpened. The final phase generally involves lacquering the wood to hide the grain, adding branding and other markers for identification of the type. 2. Latex glove manufacturing is fascinating to watch. Ubiquitous across the world, latex gloves are an interesting example of industrial processes. It involves the very basic process of farming and harvesting, as well as highly technical manufacturing. A perfect synergy of ancient and ultra-modern technology. Natural latex is harvested, technically called tapping, from the Hevea brasiliensis tree. These are mainly found in Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia. The milky latex is actually the tree's sap, and incredibly useful it is. Firstly, molds or formers are cleaned and prepared. To be honest, this phase looks a little creepy. You'll see what we mean in this video. Latex gloves are actually not 100% pure. Additives are added to improve the elasticity and shelf life of the latex. The cleaned formers or molds are dipped into the latex concoction at a specified time, depending on the desired glove thickness. Once coated, the formers, plus latex covering, are heated or vulcanized to prevent cracking whilst dry. Gloves are then leached to remove excess latex to minimize the chance of users having an allergic reaction. After this process, the gloves are beaded for ease of donning. The gloves may then be powdered, sometimes using cornstarch or chlorinated to reduce their tackiness. Workers then remove the gloves from the formers by hand, ready for quality checking, packaging, and shipping. 3. Flow drilling holes in stuff is very satisfying to watch. Okay, a bit tenuous to add to a list of industrial processes, but after you watch the video you'll understand our reasoning for including it. This process effectively eliminates the need for separate weld nuts or threaded inserts. This process generates a lot of heat from friction, and this heat is used to thicken the walls of the drilled hole. The thickening process not only looks awesome but also has a practical use. Increasing the wall thickness provides additional strength and eliminates the need for inserted brushings or welded nuts. Nice. 4. How they make springs is awesome. Well now, how could we live without springs? They are found everywhere, including inside medical devices, tools, electronics, pens, toys, and mattresses, to name but a few. Crude springs have been used since ancient times. In 1493, Leonardo da Vinci customized a spring for use inside a pistol, to make it possible for the pistol to be shot using just one single hand. The first coiled spring was patented in 1763. Today, springs come in various forms, including compression, torsion, wire, or extension springs. But how are they made? Let's take a look. Steel cord, of varying diameters, depending on final product needs, is passed to a derailleur. This unwinds the roll and feeds the cord to a computer-guided forming machine. Spring manufacture is highly automated and can produce staggering quantities of springs in a very short period of time. Warning, the following video is mesmerizing and a great example of industrial processes. 5. Ketchup manufacturing is another interesting process. Who doesn't love tomato ketchup? Different recipes vary, but the basic ingredients tend to include tomato paste, puree, sugar or natural sweetener, spices, salt, vinegar, and onion powder. Obviously, the tomato paste is the main ingredient. The paste is pumped into a holding tank ready for use. Depending on the batch size, measured volumes of paste are passed into a cooking kettle, where it is heated and constantly stirred. The other ingredients are then added in a correct proportion to the batch size. The mixture is constantly stirred. Before bottling, The ketchup needs to pass through a series of gradual cooling stages. At the same time, bottles are prepared and aligned ready for receiving the ketchup. These bottles are then filled with ketchup, usually using an automated system. Caps are added. These bottles are then filled with ketchup, usually using an automated system. Caps are added and labels are attached. The bottles of ketchup are now ready for packaging on distribution. 6. The way they make mineral wool is cool. Our next example of industrial processes is another interesting one. Mineral wool has a massive variety of applications across many industries. The process starts by taking big chunks of slag and rock, melting them down, and then spinning the melt into threads of mineral wool. We are sold already. The slag and rock tend to be sourced from the steel industry. Coke is used to fuel the entire process. The rock and slag are first partially crushed and then loaded into a cupola in alternating layers with coke. As the coke is ignited and burned, the mineral is heated to the molten state at a temperature of 1300 to 1650 degrees Celsius. The molten rock then exits the bottom of the cupola into a fiberizing device, which uses one of two processes. The Powell process uses groups of rotors revolving at high speed. The molten material is distributed in a thin film on the surfaces of the rotors and then is thrown off by centrifugal force, causing long, fibrous tails to form. Air or steam is blown around the rotors to assist in fiberizing the material. A second method, the Downey process, uses a spinning concave rotor and air or steam to help with fiberizing. The process is similar to that used when making cotton candy, or candy floss for those in the UK. 7. Compact discs have an interesting industrial process. Does anyone still buy these? Anyway, CDs, if you didn't know, are 99% polycarbonate plastic. The reflective bit makes up the remaining 1% or so. Molten polycarbonate plastic is used to make the actual disc. Digital information, if used, is then stamped onto it while the disc is still near the melting point. Often, this involves a die, and the stamp creates microscopic bumps called pits and lands. These provide the binary coding for the data to be read. Once complete, the reflective foil layer is applied using a process called sputtering or wet silvering. This allows the reader's laser to reflect the light back to the player. This is usually made of aluminum but can also include precious metals such as silver, gold, or platinum. To finish, a lacquer coating is applied to seal the reflective layer and prevent oxidation. This is an incredibly thin layer and offers very little protection from physical damage, as we all know far too well. Kool-Aid. 8. Ice cream sandwiches are both tasty and fun to watch being manufactured. Ice cream sandwiches are very satisfying to eat and also to watch being made. Honestly, you won't be disappointed. The process is pretty simple, but the engineering behind the machines less so. Ice cream is first whipped to add air. This is fed into the next part of the assembly. Here, two sets of wafers are sandwiched together as the ice cream is simultaneously injected between them. The process is so efficient that around 140 ice cream sandwiches can be produced a minute. Wow. They are then packaged, refrigerated, obviously, and shipped out for you all to enjoy. How pleasant. We hope you enjoyed the art list of 8 how daily life things are actually made in factories. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for interesting videos like this.